Lesson 8, the Korean Peninsula. Today we will be looking at the Korean Peninsula together as a whole that contains two countries, South Korea and North Korea. Here you can see the pictures of the two leaders at the top. South Korea's leader is a female. Her name is Park Geun-hye. And the North Korean leader, who is Kim Jong-un, is on the right. Now, since we will be talking about the whole peninsula and the two countries at the same time, we are going to look at them as a compare and contrast. So, as you listen, follow along on your follow along guide and fill in the chart as we go. For South Korea, under government, you need to record republic. South Korea has a president, a prime minister, and a cabinet, which is like a legislature. They are a group that writes bills and laws. North Korea is a communist dictatorship. The people do not elect the leader, but rule is passed down through family lines. The current leader is the grandson of the founder of the current North Korean communist dictatorship. The capitals of the two Koreas are Seoul in the south and Pyongyang in the north. In terms of economics, South Korea is much like our own United States in that it is a free market. The consumers make decisions about supply and demand based on what is purchased in the market. In North Korea, they have a closed system in which the government controls all means of production. They determine if and how many shoes are produced. They determine how much food is available. Therefore, the people have little control of their own lives. We can call this form of government also a totalitarian dictatorship, in that North Korea controls every aspect of its citizens' lives. You will see this in the video that we will watch about North Korea. So for freedom, in the South, they have lots of personal freedoms, much like that of the US and Europe. Whereas North Korea, you will see that they will have very little personal freedoms. Now, in terms of international relations, we are on good terms with South Korea and not so much with North Korea. Relationships between our country and North Korea remain very tense. Continuing on, for both countries, the primary language is Korean. The religions are somewhat different. Much Christian religion in the South Korea, and in North Korea, some Christian but not a lot. Population, you can see, is in the north about half as much that is in South Korea. And then the leaders' names, as we mentioned, Park Geun-hye, she's the female picture that you saw at the beginning of the presentation. And Kim Jong-un is the grandson of the founder of the current North Korea. You can see the pictures of both countries here at the bottom. If you look at a picture of the Korean Peninsula, which at one point Korea was one country, not called North Korea and South Korea, but one Korea. The north is very dark at night, and that is because the government controls everything and also the power. So at night, to conserve energy, the government shuts off the power. It doesn't matter if you'd like to stay up and work or watch TV, which, by the way, would be all government filtered. But the government completely shuts that down for you and makes that choice for you. It's kind of neat to see the satellite image of the Korean Peninsula at night, and we'll look at that later too. Now, let's briefly talk about the Korean War. The Korean War, which we say lasted from about 1950 to 53, was a war between the North and the South, and the North's goal was to reunify Korea, the whole country of Korea, and not have two divided countries. The North wanted a one giant Korean communist regime, and the South was a free state. So the civil war to reunify Korea we call the Korean War. Now the country is divided at approximately the 38th parallel, and that is a line of latitude. The DMZ, or the demilitarized zone, is the border at which there is a truce, if you will. The fact of the matter is that the Korean War never officially ended. There was never an official peace treaty signed. So technically you could say they are still in a state of war. And tensions remain very high, and you will see that in the video that we will watch about Korea. The North was backed by the Soviet Union, and if you remember after World War II, we had the communist scare, the Red Scare, and we were trying to contain communism and the domino theory, our fear that if one country fell to communism, multiple ones surrounding would start falling, and it would be this big kind of snowball effect. And so while the North was backed by the Soviets, the United States entered on the side of the South. So, North Koreans, present day, currently do not like Americans for this reason. They feel that we meddled in their affairs and kind of prevented what they saw as their goal was to reunify Korea. And the reason why it didn't happen is because we got in their business and we prevented that. So you will see also in the North Korean video that there's still a lot of hostility towards Americans and the United States in general. So here we have a war called the Korean War that was fought to reunify Korea. That really never did. Is still kind of going on. There was never technically a peace treaty signed. And as the United States entered on the side of the South in order to prevent the domino theory of all these countries becoming communist, United States effectively kind of prevented that from happening. Now, after it was all said and done, once a truce was kind of agreed to, there was really not a lot of land gained or lost on either side. So it's kind of like the stopping point was the starting point. Lots of lives lost, but essentially nothing regained for the North. This concludes our Lesson 8. Thank you for watching.